A razor-thin brush with freedom snatched away in seconds. That's the reality a once-brazen internet star never saw coming. This is the ongoing fate of Vitaly, the controversial Russian vlogger who strolled into the Philippines, stirred chaos for the sake of clicks, and ended up in a living nightmare. It's easy to assume his story is just another case of a YouTuber crossing the line, but there's a twist that might leave you questioning everything. Because here, locked behind iron bars, the lengths authorities are willing to go to keep him serve as a stark warning. Disrespect can lead to devastation in the blink of an eye. Have you ever wondered if an online prank gone wrong deserves months, maybe even years, behind bars? Think about how far internet entertainers will push the envelope. Silly stunt, sure, but what happens when local officials decide enough is enough? Consider how that boundary can shift the moment you step on foreign soil. By the end of this story, you might form very different opinions on whether Vitaly's predicament is justifiable justice or an extreme display of power. Vitaly was no stranger to controversy long before landing in the Philippines. He earned online fame, some say notoriety, by performing over-the-top stunts that often rubbed authorities the wrong way. But none of his previous antics truly prepared him for the confrontation he would face on this island nation. According to first-hand reports, it all started when he offended the wrong people, harassing locals in broad daylight, snatching hats off unsuspecting bystanders, and filming them for cheap jokes. The local interior secretary, infamous for having zero tolerance toward foreign disrespect, didn't just take it personally, he turned it into a crusade. That's where things got interesting. We're not talking about a quick arrest with a slap on the wrist. No, the moment Vitaly set foot inside that cramped detention cell, the secretary vowed to give him an unforgettable VVIP service. Local insiders say that vow was more than a phrase. It was a coded promise that Vitaly wouldn't be leaving anytime soon. This quickly escalated the matter from a run-of-the-mill tourist scuffle to a sensational saga about pride, power, and punishment. People began to wonder if the punishment was proportional to the so-called crime, or if it was an example of personal vendetta overshadowing due process. Things took a surprising turn when Vitaly's legal counsel tried to secure bail and successfully convinced a judge that this was an arrest for relatively minor offenses. There was a brief moment of triumph when Vitaly stepped out, eyes scanning for that first breath of free air. He even had friends shedding dramatic tears, exclaiming, "We'll miss you," in a way that mashed comedic relief with genuine relief. But just as he reached the exit, a short distance from the open street, immigration officers swooped in with fresh demands. In a flash, Vitaly found himself in the back of an immigration vehicle, whisked away to a new holding area. Rumor has it the officials weren't exactly gentle about it. Some even suspect they orchestrated a cruel joke, letting him think he was free only to yank him back. Officially, the story is that the local authorities bungled communications, but inside whispers claim that perhaps the Interior Secretary's office directly orchestrated the fiasco. After all, what better way to send a message than to let your prisoner taste the sunlight, then slam the door shut? That's how the VVIP service took on a more ominous flavor. The phrase no longer sounded luxurious, it felt instead like a twisted brand of personal attention. The contradictory signals, bail granted, bail revoked, immigration stepping in, only confirmed that powerful forces weren't ready to let Vitaly slip out of their grasp. Now imagine yourself crammed in a humid basement-like space with barely any ventilation, packed so tightly that you can't roll over at night without bumping another person's shoulder. That's reportedly Vitaly's reality. Pictures surfaced online showing detainees jammed together like sardines, some sleeping on the floor, others forming makeshift bunks out of tattered bedding. The walls had the drab color of neglected concrete, and the air reeked of sweat, stale food, and despair. Some believe Vitaly is somewhat isolated from the general population out of fear he might become a target. Celebrities in jail aren't usually treated well by hardened inmates. Others suspect he's still stuck in the thick of it, sharing the same suffocating space as everyone else. Whichever version is true, his conditions appear bleak. This is no cushy celebrity lockdown with fancy meals and phone privileges. It's a place overshadowed by tension, short tempers, and a daily scramble to survive. The speed at which a harmless bump in the hallway can escalate into a full-blown fight is terrifying. If anyone assumed a few jokes or pranks would be harmless, they probably never imagined that behind bars, you don't get a second chance to say, "Sorry, that was just for content." If all of these hurdles weren't enough, Vitaly's legal situation has twisted into a kaleidoscope of procedural chaos. On one hand, there's the local justice system that wants him in custody for various harassment charges. On the other, immigration authorities have launched a deportation case. Typically, if a foreign national commits something deemed serious enough, they can be deported swiftly. But here, the standard rulebook seems to have been tossed right out the window. Officials from the Immigration Bureau boldly declare that Vitaly is an undesirable alien, not fit to be out roaming the country. Yet the Interior Secretary's side demands that he remain locked in place for the duration of the trial, possibly multiple trials. Another layer is the possibility of additional charges surfacing from earlier stunts. Some local voices claim Vitaly mocked officials on camera, turning them into memes. Whether that's an exaggeration or not, his predicament is clear. An overlapping web of court dates, bail attempts, and immigration clampdowns that means there's no telling when he might see genuine freedom again. But that wasn't the whole story. Now let's navigate the heart of the matter. The Interior Secretary's unwavering determination to keep Vitaly behind bars. This official, recognized for his strict stance on maintaining public order, apparently took Vitaly's mocking behavior as a personal affront. Rumor has it that after Vitaly laughed in the secretary's presence, the official vowed never to let that humiliation slide. From that moment onward, Vitaly's name was essentially marked. Authorities have insisted repeatedly that their actions uphold the law, but countless observers whisper that this is a classic example of personal pride overshadowing standard procedure. The lengths to which local enforcers are going, refusing to release Vitaly from custody under any condition, looks suspiciously like payback. One can't ignore the fact that many similar misdemeanors by foreign visitors are resolved quickly via fines, short lockdowns, and swift deportation. Vitaly, on the other hand, has been stuck for months, sloshing through hearings that rarely go anywhere beyond postponements and confusion. And what happened next would shock everyone. As Vitaly's situation drags on, a growing crowd begins to voice concern. Some say 3 months is already an astounding length of time for a foreign troublemaker who snatched a guard's hat and spouted off insults. They argue that the punishment is out of step with the actual infractions. After all, harassment holds weight, but does it justify indefinite rounds in a packed cell with hardened criminals? On social media, a debate rages. Is the Philippines going too far in making an example of him, or is Vitaly reaping what he sowed for disrespecting the country? Yet many local residents, fed up with outside vloggers using their homeland as a playground for cheap stunts, applaud the authorities. From their perspective, foreigners don't get to run around humiliating people on camera and then walk away with a simple apology. People highlight how Vitaly's online persona thrives on boundary pushing, but real-world boundaries can't be toyed with. So while critics decry the harshness, supporters say it's a necessary stance to protect national dignity. For Vitaly, that debate matters little compared to his daily reality. Every day behind bars is a test. Dormitory-like jails in developing nations can quickly turn violent. Fights often spark over trivial disagreements, space on the floor, a stolen blanket, a misunderstood glare. If Vitaly bumps the wrong cellmate, the consequences could be devastating. Some claim he's managed to buy relative safety, possibly negotiating with certain influential detainees. Others suggest that because he's a known face, authorities have somewhat isolated him from the general crowd to avoid the PR disaster of him getting hurt. Still, the tension is inescapable. Camera lens doesn't shield anyone behind bars. Once the door is locked, you're just another occupant with no comedic scapegoat. The possibility that months or years could stretch ahead in these conditions is enough to rattle even the brashest personalities. This might be the real turning point of Vitaly's entire career, the place where his comedic ego meets the chilling facts of a system with unflinching power. But there's yet another twist on the horizon. Depending on the outcome of each legal stage, Vitaly could face years of litigation. If he's found guilty of more serious acts, the court might prolong his stay behind bars for a sentence that dwarfs the time he thought he'd spend on vacation. Then again, if arguments of excessive detention gain traction, a judge might swiftly deport him, effectively banning him from ever stepping foot here again. Observers wonder whether Vitaly has absorbed the lesson. Will he walk away from this fiasco determined to play it safe, or will he twist his experiences into fresh online content, framing himself as the ultimate survivor of the harshest conditions? Skeptics believe he'll revert to old habits if it garners enough clicks. Others think he's too shaken to risk repeated incarceration. Ultimately, the question remains, are we witnessing an unsettling extremes of the internet story, or is this a cautionary tale about crossing cultural lines? One thing seems obvious. In the future, fewer foreign vloggers will dare to provoke the same unstoppable local fury. Vitaly's story is more than just a personal downfall. It's a chilling testament to how quickly wild pranks can transform into dire consequences, especially on foreign soil. For some, the punishment is fitting. He disrespected people who showed him hospitality. For others, it's a sign that personal vendettas can dictate the legal process. And for all of us, to remember this moment anytime we consider traveling abroad while expecting our social media alter ego to grant us immunity. At the end of the day, Vitaly's indefinite limbo begs a final question. Should we applaud local authorities for protecting their dignity? Or is this an overreach that reveals darker truths about power and pride? The answer isn't simple, which is why his case continues to spark intense debate. What emerges is a cautionary story for anyone who thinks they can outrun the consequences of offending an entire nation. Vitaly's situation serves as a stark reminder of the risks involved when foreign visitors misjudge local cultures and laws. The unpredictable dynamics between holding onto national dignity and enforcing legal repercussions become evident. Viewed through the lens of a visitor who crossed an uncrossable line, this scenario encapsulates the unpredictable nature of engaging in provocative behavior abroad. Vitaly's experiences have brought attention to how the internet culture that thrives on pushing boundaries can have real-world consequences when mixed with oversight by local authorities. Now, as more of his legal battles unfold, the broader discussion has become unavoidable. In countries like the Philippines, preserving their national dignity remains paramount, often resulting in harsh stances toward outsiders who show disrespect. This particular case reveals that officials are not just defending laws, they're making an example that potentially discourages others from overstepping the invisible cultural lines. What seemed at first like an impulsive act by a foreign content creator swiftly escalated into a landmark case, a manifestation of the increasing struggles between global social media stars and local customs and expectations. Amidst this cautionary tale, the global audience remains captivated, divided between seeing Vitaly as a victim of excessive punishment or as a suitable deterrent for other potential offenders. The ongoing debates illuminate larger questions about how society should handle nonconformist behavior, especially in this digital age where provocations can effortlessly cross borders. Many are left contemplating what the balance should be between punishing disrespect and fostering understanding between diverse cultures. Even now, Vitaly's situation ignites ongoing dialogues about the rights and responsibilities of visiting entertainers. Like never before, audiences and creators alike may now start considering what content is acceptable, pushing for more sensitivity and respect in foreign settings. Whether this incident will usher in a new era of cultural awareness or leave an indelible mark on the YouTuber's life and career, only time will tell. For now, the world watches, waiting to see how the story unfolds and what lessons everyone, creators and consumers alike, will take away. The sorcery of tradition has always been a guiding force throughout my journey, intertwined intricately with the whispers of the past that carry wisdom into our present lives. It is within these chronicles of humanity and the unexpected symbiosis of seemingly disparate ideas that the true nature of innovation is revealed. This exploration into the fabrics of age-old practices has stirred in me a newfound appreciation for the potential lying dormant in our collective histories. It is as if the ghostly hands of our ancestors reach out, beckoning us to bridge the divide between ancient rituals and modern advances, crafting an interconnected tapestry of meaningful progress. In each story we upheld, every lesson learned from cultures that span across time and geography, there lies a profound understanding that goes beyond what is immediate and surface level. Here, in this convergence of paths, the innovations of technology and the allure of nostalgia dance together with the harmony of a waltz. The interplay between utopian ideals and traditional wisdom sets the foundation for a metamorphosis in our approach to life's challenges, enabling us to reimagine solutions through a lens that honors the past while embracing the unknown future. Reflecting on these experiences, I am reminded of how crucial it is to remain open to the paradoxes and contradictions innate in our quest for knowledge and improvement. By embracing change yet honoring the enduring echoes of what was, we find ourselves at the nexus of transformation. It is in the letting go and the taking hold where the seeds of new understanding are planted. Standing at the edge of this precipice, observing the interwoven layers of time and place unfurl beneath me, I am filled with a quiet certainty. The world in its dazzling complexity and boundless possibility becomes less a mystery to be solved and more a saga to be lived in earnest. It is within this continuum that we find our spaces, perhaps small and seemingly insignificant, yet impactful nonetheless. We are all custodians of the legacies we choose to carry forward, many voices contributing to an evolving symphony of human existence. Thus, as I step back from this exploration, I do so with a deepened sense of purpose and an understanding of the intricate connections that bind us all. There is comfort in knowing that even as we forge new paths, we are ever tethered to the sagas of those who came before us, inviting us to innovate and to create with intentionality, meaning, and reverence for the wondrously complex world we are so fortunate to inhabit.